Hey guys, welcome to the show. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend. I just got back from Sacramento with TJ Miller, and I gotta tell you, that was one of the funnest trips I've ever done. Uh, I did Sacramento, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, and I don't remember Sacramento being this fun. So the shows were great. All of them were sold out. That we added a sixth show on Sunday, and it was fun, man. There's a couple things in the town itself that happened that I thought was a little strange, but the shows were fantastic. And one of these things that I thought was a little strange, I went to a Mel's Diner and I asked for a sampler. And the sampler has like mozzarella sticks, chicken fingers, and onion rings and buffalo wings and all that stuff. However, I only like the chicken tenders, mozzarella sticks, and the fries out of the sampler. I'm not a big onion ring guy. Buffalo wings I like, but I don't like them on a sampler. I think that kind of destroys the point of that. So I asked the lady, I was like, hey, instead of the onion rings and instead of the buffalo wings, can I just get extra fries and mozzarella, extra mozzarella sticks? And the lady said no. And I thought that was very weird because usually at a restaurant they'll say, sure, we'll just have to charge you something or whatever. I was like, oh, why not? And this lady says, well, the cook really enjoys cooking onion rings. And I thought that was just the strangest response, yet the funniest, because cooks don't cook onion rings, they fry them. So it really made me like question this, right? So I was like, okay, um, I don't know how to get out of this because that answer kind of like if I say, oh, well, you could, I feel like I would be the dick. And, maybe I should talk about this with Brooks and see what his thoughts are. But we have a great show today on Reza Riffs. You've seen him on SNL. He's the voice on the Big Hero 6, the series. And he has a podcast he's been doing called Entry Level with Brooks Wheelan, guys. And he's going to be here. Brooks is an old stand up friend of mine, and he's going to be here riffing with us. And I'm very, very excited. So if you like the show, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and follow us on the social. And enjoy Brooks Wheelan, guys.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Oh, Keith, what's up, dude?
Hey, my longtime buddy Brooks, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm hanging out. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. It's very nice to see you, pal.
Yeah, you too, man. A long
Yeah,
time making. Yeah.
yeah. So, how was your shows at Irvine? Were they pretty cool?
Yeah, it was good. They're fun. First time I've sold out that place, so that was nice.
Yeah, I was in Sacramento with TJ, and I I did Sacramento like 7 or 8 years ago, but I don't remember Sacramento being this fun. You know what I mean?
I've only done it once, and that was a nice time. I remember. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Do you ever go to towns where you forget that they were fun, and then when you show up, you're like, oh my God, how come I just don't stay here because they're so fun?
I mean, yeah, and then I realized I should leave because they're too fun.
Oh, really? Is that?
I mean, I'm like, yeah, every time I go back to like New York or Chicago, I'm like, why did I leave this place? I'm like, oh, because they're too fun.
Oh, really? I thought you didn't like New York.
I didn't like living in New York. I mean, like it was a stressful environment for me, but visiting is really fun.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to talk to you because I remember when I first met you. It was at this place in Tustin called the Pineapple Hill Bar and Grill, and they were doing an open mic, and I was with Adam Rank, and you showed up, and I don't know if you remember this, but there was a lady throwing ice cubes at all the comedians, and
I
she,
don't. I don't remember this.
oh well, this is what you said. It was so funny. So this comedian goes up and he just got drenched with ice cubes, and then I get up and I just got thrown with ice cubes, and then Adam went up, and then you said, "I guess we're getting paid in ice cubes tonight."
Yeah, I don't. That's crazy. I don't remember having ice cubes thrown at me.
Yeah, I don't know if they threw them at you, but I just thought that how you said that was the funniest joke of the whole night because it was one of those weird open mic ones, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I love you. I love Adam Rank. But yeah, Tustin open mic doesn't sound
Fun.
like a dream show.
Definitely. So you did the opening act with Steve Byrne. I wanted to ask, like, how was that? Because I thought that was a fantastic movie because it really was about the struggle of stand-up comedy. I thought that was very unique, and the fact that you were in it was also very cool, and it was a nice surprise.
Yeah, Steve's just the man. He made this movie about doing stand-up comedy, and then I did the table read, and then he was like, yo, do you want to be in the movie? And I was like, oh, rad, yeah. Like the part from the table read, and he's like, oh, no, you have one line. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll still do that.
Yeah. Well, so what was the part in the table read you read for?
Alex Moffat's part, like the guy, which was also fun because I got fired off SNL and he got hired on SNL. I was like, why does this guy keep taking all my jobs? But he's such a nice dude, and it's like you gotta put somebody up there who can act. Makes sense. But yeah, it was fun. It was I think we just shot for a day. I just hung out with Liza Schlesinger. It was a fun group. The four of us was me, Joe DeRosa, Elijah Schlesinger, and Russell Peters were the radio
people, yeah.
So we hung out all day. So that was like a fun, like, I don't really hang out with Russell Peters that often.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He's very nice.
Yeah, he's like he's one of those comics that, because like as a comic, there's like all the comedians could usually go see comedy for free, but Russell Peters is a guy where like you can't really do that because he even sells out of the back. Like everyone buys a ticket for like standing room, you know?
Yeah, he sells like the most tickets in the world. Like him and Gabriel Iglesias have to be like the two top selling comedians.
Well, one day it's gonna be you and me, pal. We're gonna reach that level. You're already on your way to that level, but I'm saying
that's I'm all right not doing Dodger Stadium.
Do you think that would like freak you out by just how many people are there and like because like when you do theaters, like the laughs either start from the end to the front or from the front to the back. I feel like a Dodger Stadium, it will just go from sides. It will be very dizzy.
Yeah, I have no idea. I know some of my friends almost went to it just to be like, what the fuck does this look like? But then it didn't.
Oh, yeah, you didn't want to go?
Well, I mean, we were interested in going, but then we were like, well, just as interested in going to see like a Dodgers game, I'm like, well, probably going to be a hassle.
Right. Now, when you got on SNL, I remember like I was so proud of you. I was like, oh my God, my buddy's on SNL. And I watched the first couple episodes. I didn't see you. And then you showed up. And then I was like, all right, my buddy's on SNL. And then you disappeared for 6 episodes. Then you showed up. So like it felt like you were fighting for screen time on your season.
Yeah, no, I did poorly on the show. It sucked. Yeah, I wasn't on. I was only. I think I got 6 sketches on, and there was like such a big cast. The only way like the new people were getting on was if they wrote their own sketches. So it was just like a difficult. It's a difficult process. Yeah. So like, yeah, I'd have like 2 shows in a row where I'm like, cool, I figured it out. And then, 6 shows off where I'm like, oh, I don't know. I guess I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, but I mean, at least you got on the show. I mean, I never got on the show, and like I always tried to audition, but I couldn't do impressions or anything. So I thought maybe my stand-up could get me on it, but it never went anywhere, you know?
Yeah, it's a weird place. I don't even like people are like, how do you get on? I'm like, I don't know, text Che.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's so weird because like I opened for Norm for 9 years, so like he loved doing it, but I think he only liked doing the weekend update. He didn't really like doing the sketches. So I thought that because that's more towards him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a stand-up. I thought I got hired to take over for Seth, to be completely honest, because Seth was doing weekend update. I'm like, I don't do impressions, but like I know Seth's leaving halfway through this year. Maybe I'm here to do update. And then
That would have been cool.
yeah, the answer was a quick no.
I think you would have liked. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you probably loved being on SNL for the musical guest because you're a big music person.
Yeah, that was I was way rather hang out with the Black Keys than Charlize Theron. You know what I mean?
Who was your favorite musical guest that you saw there?
Um, uh, Kings of Leon were like my favorite band ever in college. I mean, I still really like them, but like they were like my favorite band that I like felt like, I found this band when they like came out and they were so, they still are cool and great. And then they came and played and I wrote a sketch where they played Duck Dynasty and then ended up like getting to hang out with these guys that like, I spent my entire like, 2005 to 2009 listening to. So that was really fun, that was because it was just cool.
Yeah.
But who else were out? I mean, Arcade Fire was my favorite band at the time they performed. That was cool. Black Keys. I mean, like One Direction was even those guys were really sweet. Yeah, I mean, everyone was cool except for like fucking Katy Perry and like Coldplay are the only people I was like, yo, fuck these dudes.
But like for you, that must have been like awesome because you're a big music guy. So like when you do say like none of your sketches get on, did you ever watch them like practice?
Yeah, they would do sound check on Thursdays, and my girlfriend at the time worked at the really close to 30 Rock. So they would do sound check at like 1 on Thursdays, and we would eat lunch while we watched the bands do sound check, me and her. It was really fun.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask you, are you still big on photography? Because I remember you used to take photos a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I love that shit. Ideally, yeah, I'm that's like, that's my favorite thing to do. That's not comedy is
Yeah.
take photos of shit. That's like how I stay out of trouble on the road is like I rent a car and go to the nearest national park and like spend my whole day there. Like I can't live in a hotel room. You know what I mean? Like if I'm in a hotel room, I go fucking crazy.
Oh, really? So you like the outdoors better, and you probably
Yeah,
really enjoy camping.
yeah. I like just seeing stuff, like being in a hotel room for like 3 nights in a row. I'm just like, oh man, I am freaking like it's just a bummer. It doesn't help me
Yeah.
creatively.
Yeah. Isn't that very like interesting? Because like I agree with you. Like when I do the road and stuff, I I don't enjoy staying at the hotel. I enjoy doing like sightseeing, but I do enjoy sleeping at a hotel. I don't know if I could sleep outside in camp, but
Yeah, I mean, I give it a shot. It's fun.
yeah, uh, I
Yeah,
I'll,
I
I'll
prefer
try that.
yeah, I like sleeping in a tent more than anything, really, probably. I think I sleep like I'll get like my best sleep like camping.
Yeah. What's your favorite spots to camp?
Oh, all over the place. The closest local one in LA is the Kern River. I really like Joshua Tree. This weekend we were gonna go camping in Joshua Tree, but it's gonna fucking rain and snow there. So I was like, maybe we don't camp this weekend. I camped once in snow and it was just one of the worst experiences in my life. So we're just gonna rent a cabin in Lake Arrowhead.
Oh, Lake Arrowhead. Have you ever camped and like ran into an animal you didn't want to ran into? Like you're in the tent and you see like a werewolf or some shit, like just walking around.
No, but you hear noises at night that scare like I'll camp alone a lot,
Uh,
and and I'll camp at Bureau of Land Management, which is like they're not campgrounds or anything. It's just like set up where you want. Nobody's there's nobody within miles, and I'll hear shit, and that's always will spook me pretty good.
yeah, that, but like it's so funny because like I don't think I've ever read an article where someone's been like while they're camping where they've been attacked. I've read articles where they've been attacked while like outside or stuff, but not when they're sleeping. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So 2 years ago, we camped at this place in Montana, and the next week at the on the same lake, not the same campground, a woman was like drug out of her tent by a fucking bear and killed.
Holy Lord.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I don't love that.
Thank God you didn't hang out with that lady, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the people are always like kind of like, well, that's why you don't sleep with the Snickers bar, and I'm just like, relax. She got eaten by a fucking bear. Like, no, we don't need to attack. Like, she totally deserved to be eaten by a bear. She slept with candy near her. No, she didn't.
It's like she slept with a whole big jug of honey or something.
Yeah, it's like I don't, like, what are you talking about? It's like that poor woman was eaten by a bear, and you're like, well, that's why you don't do that. Like, crazy.
And then the thing you've been doing that I've been noticing on Twitter is you've been doing these live shows where you get like a whole bunch of your comic friends and you read a script of, I'm assuming something you tried to pitch and it just didn't work. And how's that going for you?
Oh no, that was a one-time deal. I spent the last 2 years. I sold a show to Fox. Sold a TV show to Fox, and they like the pilot. Instead of shooting the pilot for them to save money, they were like, "Hey, let's do a table read, and you write 2 more episodes." And it will go straight script to series.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it was like down to the wire. So we did a table read of the pilot at 20th Century Fox for all the executives, and it went great. And then we wrote 2 more episodes, and I loved those. And then the show ended up not going. Fox was like, no, they ended up making this other show, Animal Control, which whatever. But
Yeah.
so then there's this podcast out there called Dead Pilot Society, where if you wrote a pilot, they'll read it on their podcast, and then at least it's like it's out in the world. And I'm like, well, I have 3 episodes of this TV show written for a network that didn't happen, and we can't use the 20th Century recording because they own that, you know what I mean? And so we just did a one and done show at the Elysian where we read those 3 episodes. So it was just a one-time thing, and those episodes will be out, I think, in March. Like
did you record it for like a podcast or something?
Yeah, totally. It's a podcast that specializes in that. So the 3 episodes of Wheelan Motors that we wrote and developed are out in March on Dead Pilot Society, and it's like that's like not a thing I'm doing. It's just a thing I did.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. And speaking of podcasts, you have your own unique podcast called Entry Level, where you interview comedians about jobs that they had, like
Yeah.
not stand-up jobs, but jobs.
Yeah, well, I interview like everybody about like everything they went through before they got to do the profession that they always wanted to do, like musicians, artists, comedians, because I always just think about like what I did when I had so many jobs before I got SNL, like So I was like, oh, you know, these people probably have great stories about all the jobs they did. And so the idea was people can like work while listening to other people talk about how they had worse jobs than whatever the people are currently working, listening to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you do when you were in Huntington Beach?
I
Like for
worked at, so I worked at a biomedical engineering company called Edwards Life Sciences. I got a degree in biomedical engineering and moved to LA. Well, thought I moved to LA. But I didn't. I moved to Huntington Beach to work at Irvine. So I worked on heart valves. I was a artificial heart valve like R&D engineer.
uh,
So I would just run tests on bioprosthetics and write lab reports and stuff. And I did that for 2 years till they were like, "Oh, this guy's a fucking idiot," who really only moved here to do comedy and fired me.
so did they know that that's what you were wanting to do is comedy, or did they like see you at the Irvine Improv and they're like,
Oh
hey,
no,
we work with him?
I was really stupid. I was loud and brash about it. I was
Oh,
like,
really?
"You should come see me do stand up." And then after that job, my next job, I didn't tell anybody I did stand up. I was like, just shut the fuck up. Don't tell anybody you did stand up.
Yeah. I had that problem when I was younger because like I thought it was the coolest thing to that people knew that I did stand up, but the older I get, because I'm not making, I feel I'm a little up the curve, but I feel like I just haven't. I don't even know if I will get a big break, but I feel like, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm just slowly getting bigger, bigger and bigger, where I feel like I should have never said I wanted to do stand up with them. You know what I mean? Because I'm still at the same day job.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, it's like it's a double-edged, as long as you're getting your work done. I wasn't getting my work done. Like
Yeah.
I was bouncing up to LA at like 3 every day, and they're like, you can't do that.
I don't know if I'm getting my work done either though, but like, cause like I'd write jokes and then I would, cause I used to write for Norm's podcast. So I would like leave and then go to LA just to submit these jokes. You know what I mean? So luckily I'm in a good union, but I feel like if I wasn't in a union, I'd been fired like 8 years ago.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I was in a union too, but I gave them enough ammo. The union was like, "Yeah, you got to let this guy go."
So Brooks, I hear you have a great Jay Moore story.
I mean, he tried to fight me on his lawn one time with Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened? Because Jay, I know, is like he likes wrestling and stuff, but I don't see him being aggressive like that unless.
It wasn't aggressive. What he didn't we didn't almost fight on his lawn. He like almost called the cops on me, and I thought he was fucking around. Long story short, he hits me up like, "Hey, would you want to come do my podcast?" He liked that I tweeted. I kind of dunked. I like shots fired at SNL when I got fired.
Right.
He was like, "That's cool. Do you want to come do my podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. What time and where?" And he gave me a time and a place. And we never met in person. And
Oh, so you didn't know him before this?
no, so I pulled up and I texted him like, "Hey, I'm here." And then I went up and knocked on the door. And like when I was on SNL, I had short hair and no beard. And this is like a year later, and I had like hadn't cut my hair or shaved since. So I had like this big beard and long hair. And he's opened up the door, and I'm like, he'd forgotten that I was fucking coming over to do this podcast. He just sees this like weird kid on his fucking front lawn, and he's like, what do you want? And I think he's joking, you know what I mean? He's a comedian. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm just here to like steal this bike. There's like a bike there." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "I'm gonna steal this bike." So like I'm like, "Oh, I'm riffing with Jay Moore, cool." And then he was like, "Dude, get the fuck out of here." I go, "What?" And then he closed the door, and I'm like, "What is he like? What's going on?" And then
Yeah.
like he comes back, No, because what I said, I was like, wait, what are you doing? Like, how long are you gonna? How long are you gonna do this bit? Because he wasn't letting up. He's like, get out of here. I was like, how long is this bit?
Right.
And he slammed the door, and then he went to call fucking the cops that I like wouldn't leave, and then like looked at his phone, saw a text message from me. It said, "Hey, I'm here," and then also he said he pieced together um, like a homeless person wouldn't be like, what is this bit? So he just came to the back and he was like, "Are you Brooks?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's happening?" He's like, "I thought you were here to fucking like stab me, dude." I was like, "No."
So that must have been like, the tension is over. So then you probably had a good podcast with him. You know what I mean?
Oh, it was a super fun podcast. Yeah, very fun episode.
Uh, but so you do like wrestling though, right? You do enjoy watching that or not?
Yeah, I love college, Olympic, high school wrestling. Like my brother's a high school wrestling coach. They just won their fourth state championship in Iowa. Yeah, and University of Iowa wrestling is my favorite wrestling thing. I love wrestling. Yeah, the Olympics are fun. I just really enjoy wrestling. It's my
I
favorite.
I remember like a year or two ago, you went on this massive Twitter Twitter rant about Logan Paul. Did you ever get a chance to wrestle with him?
No, and thank God. Turns out that guy is strong. No, that like led to me like going on like an epic adventure too, because like he was like, um, I'll wrestle any influencer or whatever. He started it. He's like, I
Right.
could be any influencer in wrestling. And this is middle of the pandemic. I'm losing my mind. And I was like, I'll fucking kill you in wrestling. I honestly thought, like, at the time, I thought I would.
Right.
Like
Well,
I was,
because at the time he doesn't come off as a big tough guy. He just comes off as like a YouTube.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm like way better wrestling than this kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, dude, I'll fucking light you up. I'll fucking let's go. And like he wouldn't respond, and his like I was like, I was going off on him, just calling him like fucking cokehead and all this other shit. Uh, and I was like, dude, let's wrestle today. Like I'll like the fact that you're saying like I'll wrestle people, but then when people say like I live in your city and I'll wrestle you today,
Yeah.
and because I grew up wrestling, I'm pretty good at wrestling. I doubt I'm as good as he is, though, to be honest. Now, looking back, what we know now, we didn't know then. Somebody like reached out and they're like, "Hey, man, like you're talking a lot of shit. I'm friends with him. I'll tell him." I was like, "Fucking tell him. I will light him up. I will fucking tech fall him." And then I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like this is where like I was just like embarrassed of myself. I was like, I'm like fighting with YouTube kid on fucking Twitter. Like, I got to get out of here. And I drove up to Montana and like camped and recalibrated. Like, that was like peak pandemic broke me. I was like, I'm trying to fight a YouTube kid. This is fucking crazy. I got to get out of here.
Yeah. And then you got home and you realize he's beaten literally everybody.
Well, that's his other brother. That's Jake Paul.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
Logan Paul is the one who's in like pro wrestling now. Like, he's like good at it. Yeah, he had a real like. I mean, I like him as a pro wrestler now. Talk about a 180 for a guy.
Yeah. Well, see that's kind of cool how like you could admit something where because I feel like you were doing it as a joke and like you wanted to do it, but you weren't like really seriously in his face. And then when
Oh
his
no,
friend
I
got
was.
involved, you're like, yeah, let's like you're pumping it up a little.
Yeah, I was like, I'll fuck you up, bud. Um, but he wouldn't do it,
Yeah.
and so I guess I mean, thank God he didn't, because I would have been, you know, beaten by a YouTube kid who we didn't at the time know was in fact a really good athlete.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Brooks, I want to respect your time, so I have three more questions. And if you want to just do short answers or whatever, I know I get it. So this one, I was wondering, so are you still attached, or maybe you can't even talk about it? But I remember 4 or 5 years ago, you signed on to do a movie called The Out of Town Wedding. And I remember reading it saying, "Oh, it's going to be really, really good because it has you and some other good comics in it." And then I feel it just, but it still says you're attached.
Oh yeah, no, that's. I mean, I think that I don't I don't know, but I have been attached to, I would say four or five movies who have never, like, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Here's the budget, cool. Here's the shoot dates, and then just things fall apart. And to the best of my knowledge, that thing's not happening.
Oh, wow. That sucks because that sounded like it would be really, really funny,
Yeah,
like
we
a
did like
hangover
table.
type
Yeah,
movie.
we were gonna shoot it up in Oregon. Kurt Braunohler was in it. Super fun. It was a good script. Yeah, but that happens all the time.
Yeah. And then are you planning on rewriting something that you could pitch that obviously not the show you just did for the podcast for Fox, but something else?
Yeah, yeah. We took we're taking a new show out next week.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah, so the show for Fox, that's the fourth scripted show I've sold. So like that's what I do besides stand up, is I write and sell TV shows. So got a new one that I really like that we're taking out next week to find like the right production company home.
Oh, that'd be cool. Hey, do you like escape rooms by chance?
No, I don't.
Oh, fuck, bummer. Well, then you're not gonna like this pitch because I just thought of a great pitch for Brooks Wheelan,
Okay.
where you know how like Fear Factor, they have like Joe Rogan like say jokes of and these people are like doing fearful stuff like eat spiders and stuff, and you know what I mean, stuff like that. So imagine Brooks Wheelan is like watching these people escape room, and he's just making jokes because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I mean, that sounds like a good show. I don't know if I mean, anybody could host that. You should host that.
No, no, but I want Brooks to host it.
No, that's a fun idea for a show. Just watching people get stuff wrong. It's a great idea.
Yeah. And then I think it'll get canceled when someone like accidentally slices their arm off or something.
For sure. Well, that actually might get it ratings. That'll get it renewed.
The danger episode of Escape with Brooks.
Yeah.
Okay, and then second question. So Brooks, when you do your podcast entry level, since the pandemic, have you been doing all of them through Zoom because it's hard to get in, or
I did them all. I did them on Zoom when we were supposed to, and then once we could not do it, I've stopped doing them over Zoom.
yeah.
I mean, as an interviewer, it's just a lot easier in person.
Oh no, definitely the energy is better in person, but I feel like Zoom, you don't really have an excuse to say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Like, I don't know. I was like, I want to get to the point where there is no Zoom and there's like no studios to record where you have to do it on your phone and your phone records it, like just the audio. You know what I mean? I think that'd be a cool idea.
Yeah.
And then my last question for Brooks: what is the scariest thing that has happened to you on the road on a stand-up show?
Like during the show?
No, or scariest, like have you ever been mugged by somebody or like it's just a very scary moment for you?
Oh, I don't even know. I mean, like, I was like driving through Mississippi with my friend Maddie Ryan one time, and there was like a rattlesnake on the road, and we pulled over to like get the rattlesnake off the road so it wouldn't get run over. And I don't know, that was pretty scary because it's fucking biting at us. It's a rattlesnake.
Yeah.
But mostly Maddie was pushing it with a stick, and I was just running around taking photos. So yeah, I guess just being bit at by a rattlesnake in Mississippi.
Yeah. I don't know if this counts as scary, but it counts as kind of like weird. So I was driving to San Francisco a couple years ago, and I saw a guy in a red jacket with his hand out like this, like he was hitchhiking. And this is where there's like no towns or whatever. So it thought to me weird that this guy's you know what I mean? Like nowhere for him to go, so hitchhiking is his best. And I didn't pick him up because one, I don't want to get murdered, but two, it was kind of weird. So I do the shows in San Francisco, and then I drive back in the exact same spot, the same guy with the same red, sweaters doing that. I was like, that is so weird because like clearly he could have made it at least to the next exit by walking in 4 days, right? So then I turned around because I just wanted to see maybe he needs some water or something, and it ended up being a scarecrow.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, so like it just kind of freaked me out,
Yeah.
Well, Brooks, where can the folks at home follow and support you?
You just follow me on online. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to brookswheelan.com. Yeah, I'm trying to like forgot how to log into my Facebook like
Yeah.
5 years ago. And now that I'm like touring a little bit after that show for Fox didn't go, I was like, oh, I should probably like promote on Facebook because it's a pretty popular thing. So if anybody knows how I could figure out how to get back into Facebook, I would love that.
Did you delete? Because I thought you deleted your Facebook. So
It's still up. Like there's like a fan page up that I used to run. I just don't know how to get into it.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Brooks, I want to respect your time, but I want you to know, one, it was really good talking to you, and two, I've always I always like was very, very proud of you for all your success because, when you were in Orange County, like that was when I started doing comedy, and you were one of the guys I really looked up to, and you were always very nice to me. So thank you.
Oh, well, Keith, you're the best, man. I look forward to like seeing you in person, hanging out again.
All right, Brooks. Well, I love you, pal, and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Keith. You're the man.
All right, talk to you later, buddy.
See you, dude. I appreciate it.
All
Bye.
right. All right, guys, that was the interview with Brooks Wheelan. Subscribe, rate, review, and tell a friend. We'll see you guys next week.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.